Iceland almost made me give up riding my bike for good. The rift! We went to Iceland last July to ride the Rift gravel race, which is a 200-kilometer unsupported race around a volcano. And here is how the story unfolded.
It's 5:30 and we are heading to Vibe. One last class before our trip. Heading to North Bend.
Let's go. They have a master class that's got only limited spots for it, but it's for their Hydro Art Mini, which is the actual, right? Control. 5, yeah. 6, 7. Back up. 8.
Yes, so that's getting better now.
My muscles look big.
Yeah, there.
And then, let's go. And then, so this.
Vibe class done. We got to try out some of the Pilates moves today for the first time, so that was pretty cool. Now we're on our way to the shoot, Columbia College. So one last shoot before our recruitment video project. Filming a dance routine with one of the students, and then time to pack. Pat, what are we filming today?
A dance video.
Dance video. Final shot. Got our Mavic 3 up there. And now it is almost 11 a.m. Have to be at the airport by 2, and we're gonna go to Benny's house, build or unbuild his bike, pack it up, and then go home, pack my bags, and then go to the airport. There's still a lot to do in a very short time.
So learning about the Gravel Earth series, I was instantly mesmerized about all the different types of terrain around the world that I potentially could ride my bike. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Boys, we got checked in, 4 bikes between 3 people. Wilfred. So we have 4 bike bags that we have to try to fit into this one Land Cruiser. Yeah, I have no idea this is gonna happen. Highly unlikely, but we'll see. Having committed myself to at least 1 to 2 really hard things per year, I thought signing up for this would just be another thing to check off on the bucket list in terms of riding the bike. And I somehow talked 6 others in the last drop to join me on this crazy adventure as well. The day before the race, we had a shakeout ride, which was sponsored by Panormal Studios. They had a couple strong cyclists that were there to lead the shakeout ride. I think the distance of the shakeout ride was probably around 30 or so kilometers, which gave you a little taste of the starting section and the finishing sections of the course. But I think it was also really misleading because a lot of us thought that it would be easier than it was after having gone through this small section of the race.
Okay, it's 4:30 a.m. We're getting up now just to get ready for the race. So, gotta make some breakfast, pack up, and head over to the start line. Gotta try to get there around 6. Nice morning, but really cold still.
getting to the start line, once I took the bike off the bike rack, I realized I already had a slow leak in the rear wheel, which was a really, really tough thing to start the day with, just knowing that I would have to constantly stop and pump it back up. Once we started the race, we were going pretty strong, sitting with Steve in the front, and a little too ambitious, probably. Certainly, actually, I should say, definitely too ambitious, and going hard for the first, I would say, 10 or so kilometers, maybe a little bit less than that, right until we got off the road and hit the first gravel section. I realized I had really pushed my pace too strong, and I decided to just back it off immediately. The challenging part that came really early in the day was getting a stomachache. I don't know how many of you have done endurance sports, but typically if you're doing anything where you're out for more than 3 hours, you usually try to be a little bit careful about what you eat the day before, making sure that you take care of things at the right time. Give yourself enough time in the morning so that you don't end up in a bad place. The condition there and the terrain there was so brutal, with the gravel being essentially washboard most of the way. Essentially, as you're riding your bike on that and you're holding your handlebars, it's shaking the entire time. So you can imagine what that would feel like if you also have a stomachache on top of that. It's not good. Got to about 95 kilometers and I just couldn't bear it anymore. I had looked everywhere and there was just nothing in that terrain. It's so vast, and you can see probably 50 miles away in any direction. And there's no washrooms, there's no trees, there's no towns. And most of the rocks, you see maybe 100 different types of rocks, but they're all tiny. They're all tiny. There was nothing of any type of protection. So by about 95 kilometers, I was just nearing the end of the out and back loop portion of the race. And I finally, by God's grace, found a boulder that was big enough to hide behind, shamefully. So that was a first. I don't even go camping. I don't even like camping. But that was a first, and that was the first of 2 times. But after that, it was mildly better, and it was still so brutal because I had to make it half the way back, and I was already so far behind. I had planned for myself to take under 10 hours to finish this race, and I ended up taking nearly 13. So it took a lot longer than I had expected. And it doesn't matter how much food I had had, how much fuel I was having, my body was just giving out. At the 100 kilometer turnaround point, there was an aid station, and there was a van with a trailer in the back that was taking back the people that had given up. So you would see, I would come up to that and I would see 4 or 5 bikes piled up in the back, and all the people that had thrown in the towel to get back to the town. I was going through some dark times at that point because I was so ready to just hop on that van and just give it all up, because I had already had such a bad day. I didn't have anyone that I knew even close to me, and I just basically had to do the same thing again for the same amount of distance, and I knew that that was already another 6 or 7 hours ahead of me. So I was really struggling, I would say, and I was on the side of the road. I was just taking a break at that point. I was not even in any kind of contention for a good time, but I was on the side of the road pumping my tire for the 20th time. I don't even know how many times I pumped at that point. And I finally saw someone familiar in the distance. So I saw 2 bikes, and it was Wilfred and Benny, and they looked so defeated as well. They were not too far behind me at that point because I had really slowed down, and they were behind me. And we found each other, and I think all of our spirits lifted a little bit from that point, because it had been a pretty rough first 3/4 of the race. And yeah, from that point on, we just pushed through, and 20 or 30 kilometers left, I think. Benny had a little bit more juice in the tank than me and Wilfred did, so we let him carry on and finish at his own pace. And then Wilfred and I powered through, and luckily finishing just under 13 hours, because the cutoff was for 14 hours. And the sun came back, beautiful sunset, and we were so thankful to be able to finish it together. And yeah, I don't know if we would have even been able to if we hadn't found each other there, but definitely the most brutal bike ride I have ever been on, by far. So how did I feel about riding my bike after Iceland? I was very traumatized, I would say. I didn't want to touch my bike again for months, even though I came back and I had to do other rides too, but especially gravel, I had no inkling of a feeling that I wanted to touch that again. The rest of the trip, however, the views, the different parts of nature, the waterfalls, just the terrain is so beautiful, and getting to capture some of that from the sky, from the drone, it's just it's a dream come true to see that. Definitely recommend it for that purpose. Iceland is it's a very once in a lifetime place that you have to see at least. I hope you enjoy some of the vlogs that we're sharing now in this longer format, and appreciate any feedback if you think that I could do better at any point. I'm still getting used to the hang of this, talking to the camera. This is not really the usual format that I'm used to, but I'm excited to kind of share a little bit more of what my life is like these days. So since quitting the job and being able to take life into my own hands and say yes to so many opportunities, I think it's interesting now, the things that I'm able to do that I never had the option to do before. So whatever you want to hear more of, just let me know. I'm going to be talking obviously more about the studio, more about gear and gadgets and those types of things that I like. Maybe some tutorials for people who want to learn how to get into filmmaking or just making videos for social media. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you can subscribe and click a like on here, because it'll definitely help to boost the channel and get everything started. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching.